Hello, Justajolt here. This is a video dedicated to the Iron Kragan on Brit Nerf, and it's all about my namesake blaster, the Jolt, and my favourite blaster, the Superjolt. I'm going to take you through the steps towards making a Superjolt. There's nothing kind of new or original here, it's just kind of my spin on it, I guess. And then we're going to have a quick look at some other Jolt type blasters. Now, why the Jolt, you might ask? Well, to be quite honest with you, when I first got into Nerf, a lot of the other N-Strike blasters were kind of underpowered, and the Jolt performed at least as better as the other blasters. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a tremendous amount of tactical advantage gained from being able to do this sometimes. That is tremendous amounts of fun and incredibly useful things to be able to do in a Nerf war. However, pound for pound, the Jolt, especially the Superjolt, is a phenomenal blaster, both in terms of money. It's, you know, pretty cheap to mod and get extra performance out of, but also it's very, very small, mass-wise, pound for pound. It also punches way above its weight. So here we go. First things first, take a screwdriver to those screws in the bottom of the blaster, and then once they're out, you should be able to just do this. So I'm just pulling the trigger there, and then the bottom bit falls out, and you can just see in the bottom there that there is a spring at the back of the blaster. Now the resolution here isn't very good, but what you want to do then is take a pair of long nose pliers . You can also do that with a pair of long scissors. After you've done that, if you have a look down there, you'll see there's a dart post, and again you can take your pliers, just grab and twist, and you should be able to just eventually yank that dart post straight out like that. And those other bits of the air restrictor, what I recommend you do is take the blaster, stick a screwdriver down it, and then whack it with a manly hammer, like this one right here. Now again, the picture here is pretty awful, but if you turn this upright, you can kind of see that there are other bits of the air restrictor down there that you can also go and just take out with your pliers. So I'm just going to yank this, and you see there's another little bit there. It's kind of like surgery, really, I guess. Yeah, exactly like surgery. That's why I never became a surgeon. Now once you've got all the bits out, there's still going to be a bit of a rattle in there, and that's because there's still a bit of an air restrictor in there. Now I've seen various solutions to this, and one thing I've done in the past is taken some super glue, just kind of dabbed it behind, settle that little bit that's rattling around in there into the back, and you'll be able to see it much more clearly when you do it for yourself. And that just kind of holds it in place. That does leave a white residue everywhere, and I'm not sure how that affects the seal on the plunger, but hey, in my mind it's not 100% essential, and I'll explain why later on anyway. And there's the average 54, as you can see. That's an increase, a small increase of about 5 meters per second, just taking out the air restrictor. Quite a popular thing to do is to insert a long shot front gun spring into the mainspring because it fits really, really well. And it also gives quite a good increase in performance. When putting this back on, I recommend you apply pressure, twist it till it kind of clicks into place, and then put the screw in rather than faffing around like another way. Now you can see a little bit of a lighter cover just by the top of the plunger head there, and that's not reflection, that's also this stuff here, this sealant tape, which if you put it underneath the O-ring gives a bit of a tighter seal. In addition to that, there's also a bit of silicone grease around the O-ring. Now like I said before, there's still something rattling around inside there, so just before you fire it, throw it backwards like that, and then off you go. Now with the long shot front gun spring, there's a noticeably heavier draw. And to go from a standard modified Jolt to a Superjolt, I'd say there's nothing more to it than just experimenting with some other funky different spring types and seeing what works really, really well. So long shot front gun and havoc fire battery door was working really, really well for me. Additionally, I tested long shot front gun and hammer shot, and that seemed to be really good. Although I'm beginning to think that was a bit of a freak of nature because I'm struggling to replicate the results, probably due to the dodgy lighting I'm using with my Chrono. Now I opened all of these up earlier as well. I've actually closed this one now to Chrono Test it, and actually I've found them all to be pretty similar to each other. That one got some interesting 70 feet per second, but not very consistent at all, so probably due to dodgy lighting again. What's really, really nasty though is that in the newer Elite Jolts, see what they've done? Look, you can't get into them. Nasty, isn't it? And it's exactly the same with that one. That one's difficult to get into as well. That one's not, though. This one's interesting. It seems to have a wider plunger head than that one, so maybe there's some interesting stuff to be done there. Anywho, I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope it's inspired you to go and do something, because honestly it's not that difficult and modding stuff can be really, really easy. So enjoy, and long live the Superjolt.